I think we're all aware of some of the downsides of shopping secondhand, and it's usually superficial things like maybe the quality is not as good. You might be put off a bit by the smell. None of these are huge downsides, and there are so many good things about shopping secondhand. But I wanted to talk a bit about the psychological downsides of secondhand shopping that I've noticed in myself, and also how I'm working through these things so that I can continue to shop sustainably without falling into bad habits. So if you too have a fair few secondhand regrets, this video is for you. The first half of this video will be patterns or things to notice in yourself and in your buying habits, and then we're going to go through a section of how to shop more mindfully secondhand. The first thing that I noticed when I was shopping secondhand was there was a sense of urgency. I guess maybe this would be a kind of scarcity mindset where I would see something because it looked cool, I would think, oh my gosh, I want to buy this. And as well, it depends on the platform, but I'm thinking both Depop and Vinted will show you how many other people have liked this item. So if you come across something and it's got no likes, you might be like, okay, cool, it's a nice thing, but I don't really feel like I must buy this straight away. But if you see something that already has 20 likes and maybe it was only uploaded 2 hours ago, because it will show you when the item was uploaded, that is a signal that other people are really interested in this item as well, because it's only been up for 2 hours and it's already got 20 likes. So immediately you start thinking, I can't wait to buy this. I can't sit around and think about this. If I really like this, I need to just buy it, which is unfortunate because I have been adopting the habit recently in the last few months of making a wish list and writing something down if I feel the need to buy it, whether it's clothes or makeup or books, vinyl, whatever. I will make a note of it in my notes app, and then I will review that after a week or a month. And it's been a really helpful tool for me to stop buying things I don't need, because it removes that urgency element and gives me time to think about it, or even to forget about the item and come back to it and be like, actually, I don't need that. Or to think about it a bit and think, do I need this? And consider it and make a considered decision, an intentional decision, as opposed to an impulsive decision, which a lot of secondhand shopping, particularly for clothes, I have felt like I've fallen into. Again, depends on the platform that you're using, but Vinted will send you a notification if the price of an item that you've previously liked has dropped. Immediately I know that everyone else who liked that item has got the same notification as me. They all received that notification saying that the price had dropped. And so anyone who'd forgotten about the item or was on the fence about the item may, as soon as they see that, think, yeah, I'm going to buy it. Because I've also witnessed that happen, where I think, I'll think about this for a couple of hours and it's sold because someone else saw it and snapped up that bargain. So this scarcity or urgency element really comes into play with some secondhand shopping. And I know it can also be the case of shopping in a store. You can see an item on the sales rack and think, do I want this? And you will go away and come back, someone might have bought it. So I know this isn't unique to secondhand shopping, and the same thing can happen if you're buying something online. This sense of urgency will push me over the edge to buy something that may not even be in my style, which we're going to talk about later. So this is one reason to be wary of secondhand shopping. I'm not saying don't do it, but this is just things that I have been thinking about. The next is linked to that scarcity urgency element we talked about, and it's the fear of missing out. So you see a good deal and you think, oh my goodness, this is a better price. For example, that vinyl, I looked on eBay because sometimes, okay, let me try and complete one thought for a second because my mind is immediately going. If you see something on a good deal, you will think, I need to snap that up before someone else does. And you might do some comparison, like look on other sites that are selling the same item and realize that's a really good deal. This person has priced it, £10 below any other new item. So I'm thinking of this vinyl, it's brand new, and someone was selling it on Vinted, as I said, for £18. And I checked on eBay, it was the same. I don't know if it was the same seller, but it was the same item, sealed, brand new, that they were selling for £22. So with Vinted's fees, £18, and the delivery as well, it came out to about £22. So I sat back a bit because I thought, okay, even if the Vinted one sells, I can buy the eBay one, so that I don't need to rush into buying this, and I don't need to buy it just because I think it's a good deal. I can wait and see, do I actually really, really want this? Or am I just being, not mesmerized, but, am I being taken in by what is a really good deal? The thing that I was going to say that was going to get me off track was sometimes particularly I've noticed with vinyl, people will price them in such a way that makes it look like they're sold out. They'll list a vinyl for £45 and automatically you will think, oh, that must be sold out everywhere. But then when I actually look, and I look on HMV or look on eBay or even look on the artist's own website, they will still be selling the vinyl for, the standard price. It does seem that, you've got to be really on it with the prices and make sure you are actually getting a good deal. So don't let the FOMO trick you. I'm having a tea break. The next downside or the next pitfall for shopping secondhand is that everything is unique. Everything seems, especially with clothes, everything seems like a one-of-a-kind item. You don't know where else you would find it. And yes, you could find probably something of the same category in a generic shop, whether it's like a blue cardigan or a white square neck top. But this specific item in this specific size from this specific brand at this specific price, that is unique. And it depends how generic the item is. Like, yes, a white square neck top is quite generic. You could probably buy that from basically any shop. But I'm thinking of, I bought a Hollister jumper with flowers down the sleeves. And in fairness, I think it is something that I could wear because I do like wearing colour and I really like the flowers. But part of me was wanting to buy that thing just because it was so unique and it wasn't something that I see all the time. And it's not like that's a bad reason to buy something. As I said, it's not so out of the realms of possibility of something I would wear, but it wasn't something that I was looking for, essentially. And we're going to talk about not browsing and being very specific a bit later. But I think this can sometimes be my downfall with shopping online, is that you will come across so many cool things like this top that I'm talking about with the flowers down the sleeve, and you will think, whoa, I have to buy that. But I'm trying to lean into the whole thing of appreciating something exists without having to own it yourself. I think I mentioned this in my how to buy less stuff video, so I will link that video. This is one of the things that does help me. It's just thinking, wow, that item exists, that's very cool, someone else can enjoy that, but I don't have to buy it. I think especially this in terms of different vinyl variants. Some people buy every single variant of an album, and that's cool, but to me that feels, I don't want to get drawn into that because that feels like a huge waste of money to me. To me, that's not worth it, and it wouldn't bring the same amount of value. One of the things that helps me when I'm ever tempted is I think, that's cool, it's cool that thing exists, someone else can appreciate it, I don't have to spend my money on that. There's so much cool stuff. That doesn't mean that you have to buy it. You can just appreciate it, and if it fits your style and fits what you normally wear, great. You can buy it, but you don't have to buy every single cool, unique, one-of-a-kind thing that you come across. This has helped me a lot, that kind of thinking. The next reason that I'm sort of calling on secondhand clothing is the smell. So some of the stuff, obviously it's going to smell foreign because it's not yours, and you know how you go into someone else's house and it smells like their house, or you hug your cousin and you're like, oh yes, this smells like them. It's not to do with it being a bad smell. I'm sure there are some things that you can buy secondhand which do smell bad, but for me it's more just like, you know, if you open the package and it's this overwhelming smell of laundry powder even, and it's just the fact that it doesn't smell right. That's not of my environment, that's not of my house. Stuff like that. Sometimes it will need several washes just to get rid of the laundry smell, which to me is very weird. And I also then start thinking, what smell were you trying to cover up by using so much laundry powder? You know, I don't think to be clean clothes have to smell like laundry powder. The clothes can just be clean and not smell of anything, you know? The other reason that I've sort of called on secondhand shopping is really dodgy descriptions where people are really stretching the limits of, you know, they'll use the phrase worn once or like new, and you think cool, but then you look at the photos and the label in the back of the jumper is very faded or very worn, and you think either you're telling the truth and that thing has been worn once or a couple of times and the label already looks like that, which means this is very poor quality, it's not going to wash well, so either it's that and I don't want to buy it, or you are lying when you're saying only worn a few times and you've actually worn it loads and you're just trying to sell it for a higher price or whatever, in which case I still don't want to buy it because you're not being truthful about that. You could just say like, was my favourite, not anymore. You know, there are loads of acceptable alternatives to just saying worn a couple times when it's clear from the photos that you haven't. And then I think if you're going to lie or stretch the truth in that regard, what else is there? And sure enough, I bought one of these things against my better judgment, and then there was a little mark on the back, which I'm sure no one else will notice, but it's just a reminder for me that I should have trusted my instincts when I read that description and saw the tag. But I really liked the item, and unfortunately Vinted's return policy is you don't get all of your money back because you have to pay for the return postage, which I guess makes sense, but sometimes the postage will be more than the postage you paid for it. So you might have paid £7 for the item itself, not including the postage or anything, but you're only getting like £4 back. So you've spent, you know, £6 on this annoying experience where something turned up, you were disappointed, it wasn't as described, you send it back. Like, all these things take a little bit of effort, but it adds up because you're annoyed. It doesn't also feel very sustainable to be sending things back. This isn't a reason not to buy secondhand, but just to me, I'm thinking I need to maybe chill out a bit. I've had to send back a cardigan that had a stain on it, and didn't get all of my money back because of Vinted's weird maths return policy. I don't know what it means. And then there was one thing that I was going to send back but decided to keep, and we'll see how that goes, or if it annoys me too much in terms of the mark on the back. So these are all reasons why I have been more skeptical of secondhand shopping. But now I want to talk about, we've kind of mentioned some of them already, they've been like peppered throughout, but I want to just go through some helpful things to bear in mind to bypass all of the stuff we just talked about and be way more intentional about what you buy secondhand and not fall into any of those pitfalls. So the one I mentioned earlier is don't browse. Be very clear about what you want and what you're looking for. Don't just mindlessly pick up your phone and start scrolling through Vinted or eBay or Depop, just looking at what is showing up on your homepage. Only go on it when you know what you're looking for. If you're thinking, I want a blue round neck top, or I want a red jumper with a slogan on it, be very specific and know what the descriptors are that you're looking for. So like I said, the kind of neckline, or you want a long sleeve top, or you want a plain top, you want this kind of material, maybe you know what specific brand you want to buy for. There are so many filters that you can put on different apps, so you can find specifically only the category and the things that you specifically want. The apps do let you be very specific, so use that to your advantage. Don't browse, just find specifically what you're looking for, because it can be great to find a bargain that way, but you're going to end up losing money if you're just buying things randomly. And I would also say it's helpful to make an absolutely no way I'm not buying list. So you can be, like I said, taken in by an item that looks really cool or one of a kind, but it helps to have a list of things that you know don't work for you. So, for example, I know I don't like capped sleeves in a t-shirt or in a button-up short sleeve shirt. I will not wear it, even if it looks really nice, even if it's comfortable in all other respects. If it's got cap sleeves, I just won't like it and I won't wear it. So have this list. I will find the other things that I have on my list and put them on the screen. Make a list like this for yourself, because it can be really helpful in grounding you in the actual reality of your life and of your wardrobe and what you like to wear. And it can remind you, stick to these things, don't buy a cap sleeve top, don't buy this, or you only like things made of this material. Similarly, if something is 100% polyester, I'm not going to buy it because I find that makes me really hot really quickly, and it's not something that I will rewear over and over again. And linked to that is be clear of any specifications like that, and don't be afraid to message the seller and ask for either photos of the care label if, like me, you are wanting a specific material or not wanting a specific material, so I don't want to buy anything 100% polyester. I found, for example, recently a pair of trousers I really liked, but I was quite suspicious. So I messaged the seller and was like, what's the fabric composition on this? And they replied and told me, and it was, I don't think it was 100% polyester, but it was way too much polyester to be selling those trousers at £30. So I then said thank you, but no. But the worst thing someone can do is not reply. Or I guess they could be really rude and horrible, but they're trying to sell an item, and if you're interested in the item, I'm sure they would want to reply. So there's really no downside. I also like to know if something is hand wash only. If I'm in any doubt, I will also ask that, because one of my absolutely no way things is I will not buy hand wash only clothes, with the exception of bras or bralettes, because they are easy to wash and easy to dry in a day. But if you have like a hand wash only t-shirt, I just know myself, and I know I'm not going to be hand washing a t-shirt. And it's also then in the winter months, it's difficult to get these things dry because you can't hang them outside. Be very clear on specifications. I will also say this is like an ongoing thing, but try and be aware of your personal style. And I know this is like a hot button topic on the internet, finding your personal style, but just be aware of the things that you wear all the time. That is basically your personal style, not whatever is in your head of who you would like to be, or your fantasy wardrobe, or the things you wear for special occasions. Well, it depends on the occasion, because sometimes that can integrate into your wardrobe, but the stuff you wear the majority of the time, that is what your personal style is. So just look at those things, look at the thing you are looking at buying, the secondhand item, and think, does this realistically fit into something that I would actually wear all the time, or am I getting swept up in this idea, this fantasy self, or the idea that it's really unique? Be clear about who you actually are, which I know is difficult and it's always changing, but start by just looking at the things you always wear. So I, for example, bought this jumper secondhand, and I knew, well, I didn't know for sure, but I was fairly certain it was going to be a good buy because I love wearing jumpers. I wear them all the time, basically. I do not do well in this hot weather because I'm too hot to wear a jumper. This was a good buy and a second-hand buy because I knew that it would fit in my wardrobe and fit with my personal style. So having some awareness of these 4 things will help a bit to avoid the pitfalls that we talked about earlier. So I hope this has given you some clarity and some insight for when you are shopping secondhand, and if you have your secondhand clothing regrets. I think it's normal, but I have been noticing these patterns within the stuff that I've been buying, and yeah, I don't want to continue down that route. So hopefully this video has highlighted some of those things and can help you too. Please share if you would like what are your absolutely no way things that we talked about, or any secondhand regrets or anything I've not covered in this video. I really like talking about this topic and we can all learn from each other's experiences. So yeah, please leave yours in the comments below. I will leave my how to stop buying stuff you don't need video on the screen because I did mention that earlier, so feel free to check that out. God bless, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.